Looks like Idumean architecture to me. Edomite architecture. But people don't even see that. Look at the pillars. Look at the top. We'll put it together. Shalom, Israel. I'm gonna make this quick. This is a little lesson about this 400 years that African Americans, so-called, have been here. I just shot a video already, but my mic wasn't on for some reason. So you saw the short little brief video at the beginning showing the Edomite structure, the courthouse. That was a county courthouse in Georgia. And most courthouses are built the same way. And if you don't know what an Edomite is, then you need to read your scriptures. Edomites are the descendants of Esau, the brother of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel in the scriptures. So without further ado, this is about the HR 1242 400 Years of African American History Commission Act, which next year in 2019, I think it's in August, we will be here, or at least African Americans will be here 400 years exactly. The first slaves were brought to America in 1619, and 2019 will be 400 years. This Commission Act is to commemorate and some way give leeway to the fact that these people actually brought us over here against our will, and you know the history behind it. Put us in bondage, separated families, and so forth and so on. And there's a commission that's supposed to do certain things next year, have certain things built to commemorate us being here 400 years. I'm not going to say that I think it's a joke, but I think that some of us shouldn't feel so high-minded about it, because it's sort of like somebody stabbed you in the foot, took the knife out, and then just stuck it back in your foot again, you know. So because, in my opinion, these people knew who we were when they picked us up off the boat. I mean, picked us up and put us on the boat. And there have been millions of us that were killed or died in many different ways over these 400 years. Now, also I wanted to touch on the fact that in Genesis, it reads, Genesis 15 and 13 reads, "And he said unto Abram, Know for a surety of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance." So these people, or this nation that the Lord is talking about, that the Most High is talking about, people don't realize who they are. So they are the Edomites. If you read the book of Obadiah, it describes these people. And once the Israelites come out of this 400-year bondage or affliction, then they will be saved. It says here in Luke, and Luke 1:69-73, 69 through 73, and hath raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. This is describing the Messiah, because he's a descendant of David. As he spake by mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers, and to remember his holy covenant, the oath which he sware to our father Abraham. Exactly. So we were to be afflicted for 400 years. It says right here, verse 16, but in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And it come to pass that when the sun went down, it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace, and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. In the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. So that was part of the covenant that he gave us, and that he's going to return us to our own land, the Israelites to their own land. Isaiah let's go here so we can see exactly what's supposed to happen when we are saved, when the Israelites are saved. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. See? And that nation that he was speaking about, that he said he's going to judge, he said, and it shall come to pass, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So the Israelites are supposed to be an oppressed people until the end days. These are the end times. That's why you have Congress doing this. 400 years of African American History Commission Act. 2019 will be 400 years. Also, I just wanted to play a little brief video showing that the 400-year affliction was not the 430 years that the scripture describes the Israelites being in Egypt during Joseph's reign, who was a Hebrew, and after Joseph's reign, when the Pharaoh put them in bondage. Let's take a quick listen to this right here. I'll put the guy's name in the description. I mean, his a link in the description for the recruiter. This guy posted this video. I like this video. Let me just take a quick excerpt of it. We're just going to watch this for a second.
So Joseph was 30 years old when he entered Pharaoh's service. And shortly after, there were 7 years of abundance and then 7 years of famine. So it would appear that after the 7 years of abundance, Joseph would have been 37 years old. And 2 years into the famine, when he was 39, that's when all of Israel arrived in Egypt. So based on the information given, it appears as if Joseph was 39 years old at the beginning of that 215 years. Then Joseph died at 110. So take 110 and subtract 39, and that equals 71, which means that for 71 years, the Israelites were in Egypt under Joseph's rule, and they were not slaves during those 71 years. So take the 215 years that the Israelites were in Egypt, subtract the 71 years that Joseph was in power, and that equals 144, which means that the Israelites were not slaves for any longer than 144 years maximum. Now Moses was 80 years old when they left Egypt.
So that's all I wanted to play. 144 years of slavery. So that right there just put into perspective that wasn't 430 years of slavery. That was only 430 years that the Israelites were in Egypt from the time Joseph was in rule after his brother sold him into slavery and he became a general, then a king of Egypt, and asked his father and his brothers to come live in Egypt. And they dwelled there for 71 years under Joseph's kingship. And they dwelled and they multiplied. If you read the book of Jasher, it tells you that once the Israelites were multiplying so much, after Joseph died, the next Pharaoh was getting schooled by some of his so-called prophets, and they were saying that the Israelites were going to outnumber the Egyptians eventually if they didn't stop it. So the Pharaoh came up with a way to get them to dwindle in number, which was to, within a year's time, put them in slavery. They were paying them to build some cities on the outskirts of Egypt that they could build up walls for fortresses to fight against the Edomites. Believe it or not, they were going to fight against the Edomites. They knew the Edomites were going to come into Egypt and try to take over Egypt. So they had two cities that were being built by the Israelites that they were paying the Israelites. Then as months went by, they stopped paying them as much and decreased the pay until they eventually just stopped paying them at all and put them into bondage and continued to build cities for the Egyptians, which eventually Moses came into play, and you know the story from there. Moses freed the slaves under the Most High's control. So this 400 years that we have been in captivity in America is another sign to show that the true Israelites, or at least some of the tribes of the Israelites, are so-called African Americans. As it says here in Deuteronomy 28:64, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And to this day, we all have different so-called religions where we serve other gods besides the God of our forefathers, Yah or Yahweh. Now, that pretty much wraps it up for this lesson. I'm going to do another one here soon, but I just wanted to retouch back on that video that I shot before. I did want to also show the when I showed the Edomite structure of the courthouse, show exactly where the Edomites live. This is Mount Seir. If you read your scriptures, you know that the Israelites chased the Edomites into Mount Seir, and this is where they dwelled. If you look at this structure right here, the entrance, it looks exactly the same as the courthouses. Look at the posts, look at the top here, that triangle looks exactly the same besides this up here, but it looks exactly the same, the same structure. So they have the same structure everywhere they go. Here's a picture, a better picture. This shows you every conquering nation that they have been in. The Edomite kingdoms: Greece, Rome, France, Spain, Germany, Russia, Great Britain, and the United States of America. So we'll end it off with that, and I'll just say Shalom.